This glyph content is intended solely for educational and historical documentation purposes. It does not support, glorify, or endorse unlawful activity or any criminal organization. All references to names and incidents come from open source reporting. Viewer discretion is advised because of the sensitive themes involved. The Beltrán Leyva Organization, brotherhood, betrayal, and the struggle for dominance. In the complex and often perilous landscape of Mexico's underworld, few organizations rose as swiftly or collapsed as dramatically as the Beltrán Leyva Organization. At its zenith, this network asserted its influence with alarming intensity, forging powerful alliances, orchestrating betrayals of staggering proportions, and employing a wide array of clandestine operations. Founded by the resolute and ambitious Beltrán Leyva brothers, Arturo, Alfredo, Hector Carlos, and Mario Alberto, alongside their close associate, Edgar Valdez Villarreal, the BLOs, evolution serves us as an enduring study of how power, secrecy, and betrayal collide within criminal empires. It is a narrative of soaring ambition, ruthless competition, and the severe consequences that befall those who enter the dangerous realm of unauthorized activity. Origins in a rugged heartland. The story of the Beltrán Leyva Organization is inseparable from the childhoods of its founders, all of whom were born in the rugged terrain of Badiraguado, Sinaloa. This region, set amid steep mountains and narrow roads, has long been recognized as a cradle of illicit enterprise in Mexico. It is here that Arturo, Alfredo, Hector Carlos, and Mario Alberto developed a keen understanding of clandestine trades from an early age. Local networks, thriving on small-scale cultivation of banned substances, shaped the brothers' initial involvement in unauthorized activities. This upbringing introduced them to a subculture where influence was achieved through a mixture of negotiation, intimidation, and strategic positioning, setting the stage for their later ventures on a national and international scale. From an early point, the Beltrán Leyva brothers were inspired by the legendary figures who had already carved out paths in these covert arenas. Among their major influences was Amado Carrillo Fuente, famously dubbed El Señor de los Cielos, who led the Juárez network. Under his guidance, the Beltrán Leyvas honed key skills that would later become instrumental in their own expansion, learning how to organize routes for illicit operations, expand money laundering systems, and safeguard strongholds through covert arrangements. During these formative years, their cousin Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán also played a role in introducing them to additional aspects of the underground networks, further strengthening their readiness for the larger ambitions they would soon pursue. Alliance with notorious figures. Following the death of Amado Carrillo Fuentes in 1997, a power void emerged within Mexico's underworld. This shift in leadership presented opportunities for the Beltrán Leyva brothers to assert themselves more prominently. By 2002, they had co-founded a major coalition known as La Federación, often termed the Blood Alliance. This formidable union brought together several high-profile figures, including Guzmán, Ismael Zambada Garcia, Juan José Esparragoza Moreno, and Ignacio Coronel Villarreal. The backbone of this alliance was not only strategic convenience, but also deep-rooted family and regional ties. Many of these key players hailed from Sinaloa, sharing long-standing relationships reinforced by marriages and other family connections. Within this environment of shifting alliances, friendships, and rivalries, the Beltrán Leyvas quickly carved out a reputation for efficiency and ferocity. Arturo Beltrán Leyva, in particular, became recognized as an astute strategist who excelled at solidifying underground networks, concealing revenue streams, and forging paramilitary units designed to confront any opposition. During this period, the Beltrán Leyva Organization secured strategic corridors that extended deep into the United States, particularly into California, Nevada, Texas, and New Mexico. These pathways were integral to a clandestine trade that encompassed an array of controlled substances and other illegal goods. The revenue generated by these operations reinforced the group's ability to bribe officials, stockpile resources, and expand operations. Through these alliances and expansions, the BLO thrived, displaying a unified front that rivaled even the largest criminal organizations in the Western Hemisphere. The emergence of La FIDA. One of Arturo Beltrán Leyva's most defining moves was the creation of specialized paramilitary squads known as the Fuerzas Especiales de Arturo. Modeled in part to compete with other fearsome militant wings emerging in Mexico, these units combined systematic recruitment, rigorous training, and unyielding loyalty. Although much of the specific training methods remained cloaked in secrecy, FIDA's brutal tactics became the subject of widespread fear. Their objective ranged from safeguarding high-profile figures within the BLO to conducting targeted operations aimed at dismantling rival strongholds. FIDA's effectiveness, paired with Beltrán Leyva's strategic approach to infiltration, elevated the organization to new heights, marking them as a dominant presence in the underworld. This ascendancy was accompanied by an alarming surge in conflicts between criminal organizations. Territorial disputes, battles over strategic corridors, and internal showdowns for leadership became commonplace. While the BLO had initially benefited from unity and shared interests, it would soon find itself enmeshed in a cycle of growing friction, setting the stage for the eventual unraveling of the group's solidarity. Corruption and influence at the highest levels. Central to the Beltrán Leyva Organization's power was its capacity to infiltrate the higher echelons of government, law enforcement, and financial institutions. Alfredo Beltrán Leyva's operational acumen and Hector L.H. Beltrán Leyva's strategic insight were critical in forging these connections. Leveraging vams of money generated by their clandestine trade, they reportedly paid off or manipulated key figures, ranging from municipal officers to prominent national officials. One such example was Noé Ramirez Mandujano, once tasked with combating unauthorized activities at a federal level. Allegations also surrounded individuals like Nahum Acosta, a close advisor to President Vicente Fox. By covertly securing the cooperation of top governmental and security personnel, the BLO significantly minimized the risks of large-scale enforcement operations against them. This cyclical pattern, profits fueling corruption and corruption shielding profits, emerged as a defining hallmark of the Beltrán Leyva Organization's dominance. At the height of its power, the BLO held sway over key territories across Mexico, including northern Sinaloa, Guerrero, Morelos, Quintana Roo, Oaxaca, Chiapas, Nayarit, and Michoacán. Each region served a distinct strategic purpose. Some were crucial for maritime routes, while others controlled critical overland corridors. In many of these localities, the BLO's presence was so entrenched that communities found themselves living in a climate of intimidation, aware that even local authorities were rendered powerless by the group's corrupted ties. The seeds of betrayal. Despite the apparent unity forged through family bonds and mutual pursuits, the Beltrán Leyva Organization's destiny would be irrevocably altered by an act of betrayal, or at least a strong suspicion of one. In January 2008, Alfredo Beltrán Leyva was apprehended by Mexican authorities. The exact circumstances of his capture remain shrouded in conflicting rumors and theories, but what is indisputable is that it triggered a massive rift between the Beltrán Leyvas and their cousin, Joaquín Guzmán. Arturo Beltrán Leyva's reaction was immediate and unforgiving. Convinced that Guzmán had provided authorities with the information needed to locate Alfredo, Arturo plotted the killing of Guzmán's son, Edgar Guzmán López. This act took place in a public setting, allegedly involving heavy weaponry, and it marked a critical turning point. The unity that had once defined La Federación was irreparably fractured, transforming allies into mortal enemies. Enraged by the deadly assault, Guzmán retaliated, igniting an extensive national conflict. Former alliances shattered. Lines were redrawn with the BLO aligning itself with Los Zetas, while the Sinaloa network aligned with other groups, further escalating inter-organizational hostilities across Mexico. Explosion of nationwide conflict. With two of the most formidable entities in the underground landscape now at war, violence surged in border states and major transit corridors alike. The once lucrative collaboration between the BLO and the Sinaloa network morphed into battles for territory, resources, and ultimately, control of essential illicit operations routes. Places like Ciudad Juarez, historically plagued by high levels of crime, descended into a new wave of chaos. Daily life for residents in these conflict zones became fraught with danger as various factions competed for dominance. The methods of confrontation ranged from unexpected strikes on high-value targets to orchestrated attacks aimed at entire communities believed to shelter rival affiliates. While direct references to explicit acts of harm are best avoided, the broader picture painted a consistent narrative of upheaval and fear. This violent and unpredictable environment was driven by an unending cycle of reprisals, in which neither side hesitated to strike back with considerable force. Arturo's downfall and the rapid fragmentation. A pivotal chapter in the BLO's collapse came on December 16, 2009. Acting on intelligence reports, the Mexican Navy cornered Arturo Beltrán Leyva in an upscale apartment complex in Cuernavaca, Morelos. Though the details are not fully disclosed, the confrontation ended with Arturo's demise. His loss was a devastating blow to the BLO, eroding the organization's centralized leadership. Arturo's was not merely the fall of a figurehead. He had been an irreplaceable strategist and unifying presence. As leadership contests ensued, disagreements within the organization intensified. Edgar Valdez Villarreal, a trusted associate of Arturo, soon split from the group, establishing his own faction. This schism created a ripple effect, prompting additional fissures throughout the BLO. Once united by shared purpose, the organization now splintered into smaller groups, each with its own alliances, resources, and objectives. High-profile apprehensions. The collapse of the Beltrán Leyva Organization accelerated as Mexican and international forces focused on dismantling what remained of its command structure. A series of significant apprehensions soon followed. 1. Carlos Beltrán Leyva. Arrest date December 30th, 2009. Carlos was taken into custody in Culiacán, reportedly after presenting falsified documents to authorities. His capture underscored the vulnerability of even high-ranking figures once the organization began losing its grip on reliable lines of protection. 2. Gerardo Alvarez Vázquez. Arrest April 22, 2010. Alvarez Vázquez was an important aide in the BLO's operational wing. His detention added yet another layer of instability, as it removed a key link between leadership and foot soldiers. Edgar Valdez Villarreal, arrest date August 30th, 2010. Valdez had been instrumental in shaping violent enforcement tactics. His arrest was celebrated as a high-profile success by the Mexican government, and it further weakened the remnants of Arturo's circle. Sergio Villarreal Barragán, arrest date September 12, 2010. Serving as Hector's top security officer, Sergio Villarreal Barragán's capture severed vital chains of command and protective oversight, leaving Hector increasingly exposed. Oscar Osvaldo García Montoya, arrest date August 11, 2011. Often referred to as the last significant connection to the group's original leadership, his detention marked a symbolic milestone in the government's campaign to dismantle the BLO's hierarchy. 6. Arnoldo Villa Sanchez. Arrest date April 16, 2014. A second-in-command figure, Villa Sanchez's capture highlighted the extended reach of ongoing enforcement efforts, even years after the BLO's initial downfall. 7. Hector Beltrán Leyva. Arrest date October 1, 2014. As the last dominant brother still at large, Hector attempted to maintain the BLO's legacy. His apprehension in San Miguel de Allende was touted as a major success in the broader campaign against underground networks. Subsequent enforcement operations also led to the neutralization or detention of other would-be successors, including Juan Francisco Patron Sanchez, who was confronted by the Mexican Marines in February 2017, and Alfredo Beltrán Guzmán, taken into custody in December 2016. Splinter factions and enduring influence. By the mid-10s, the once mighty Beltrán Leyva Organization had fractured into multiple splinter groups, each adopting its own strategies and territorial claims. Despite no longer functioning as a single centralized body, these remnants persist with various criminal ventures, including forced collection of payments, illicit operations, and occasional collaboration with other entities. Key offshoots include Los Mazalicos. Predominantly active in northern Sinaloa, this faction has engaged in ongoing territorial disputes with the Sinaloa Network, Guerreros Unidos and Los Rojos. Concentrated in Guerrero and Morelos, these groups have gained infamy for alleged involvement in high-profile disappearances, most notably the 43 students from Ayotzinapa in 2014, a case that continues to stir national outrage and international scrutiny. Independent cartel of Acapulco and Albaredora. Battling over control in coastal Guerrero, these groups highlight the persistent fragmentation and the region's vulnerability to continued unrest. Los Charritos. Operating in U.S. cities such as Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas, these affiliates underline the BLO's lingering global reach, even a diminished capacity. La Oficina under Fausto Isidro Meza Flores. Exerting control over parts of Zacatecas and Aguascalientes, this collective showcases the ongoing fluidity of alliances, at times forging pacts of convenience with other criminal syndicates for mutual gain. Although these splinter factions operate independently, many of them still employ tactics reminiscent of the B. Lowe's approach, such as cultivating ties with public officials, orchestrating clandestine trade routes, and leveraging intimidation to fortify their domains. Some have temporarily collaborated with Los Zetas, the Jalisco cartel, or even certain cells of the Sinaloa network when it suits their immediate strategic interests. The destructive legacy and its implications. The Beltrán Leyva Organization's meteoric rise and dramatic downfall stand as a vivid example of how corruption, betrayal, and ambitions of unchecked power can converge in devastating ways. The trajectory of the BLO underscores that even close familial ties and long-standing partnerships can quickly unravel once allegations of betrayal emerge. Ultimately, the downfall of the BLO was as swift and unrelenting as its climb to prominence, offering a stark lesson in how internal conflicts and an erosion of unity can splinter even the most formidable networks. For authorities, the BLO's story highlights that disrupting high-level criminal frameworks requires not only direct law enforcement action, but also a sustained commitment to rooting out corruption. Official entities compromised by bribery and fear cannot effectively contain or dismantle these powerful organizations. International cooperation is likewise critical. Intelligence sharing and coordinated enforcement strategies played a role in capturing key figures and halting vital routes, reflecting the interconnected nature of the struggle against criminal syndicates. On a societal level, communities in territories once dominated by the Beltrán Leyva Organization bear lasting emotional and economic scars. Business owners, farmers, families, and local institutions lived under the heavy shadow of intimidation. Extortion, forced levies, and other intimidation-based tactics disrupted daily life and stunted legitimate economic opportunities. Beyond the immediate harm, the persistent atmosphere of insecurity weakened civil trust and fueled skepticism regarding authorities' ability to provide genuine protection. Lessons for the future. The story of the Beltrán Leyva Organization resonates well beyond Mexico's borders. As global commerce routes expand and technology offers new methods for clandestine communication, transnational criminal entities evolve in tandem. The BLO saga illustrates how swiftly a group can rise by merging resourceful leadership, paramilitary force, and widespread corruption, but it also shows the high cost of disloyalty and unchecked violence. Policymakers and law enforcement agencies worldwide can glean essential insights from the BLO's history. First, the structural integrity of a criminal network is highly dependent on relationships of trust and fear. Ruptures in trust can create lasting chaos. Second, the infiltration of governmental structures demands a robust system of checks and balances, coupled with comprehensive anti-corruption measures. Finally, a multifaceted approach that addresses social issues such as poverty, local empowerment, and civic education can help mitigate the conditions that facilitate the emergence of such groups in the first place. Conclusion: a cautionary chronicle. The Beltrán Leyva Organization soared to formidable heights, fueled by the brothers' bold ambition, strategic cunning, and well-organized paramilitary units. At its apogee, it controlled broad swaths of territory, boasted an extensive network of influence, and extracted enormous revenues through clandestine operations. Yet the same environment of interlocking alliances and personal loyalty would later be undone by suspicion and vengeance. The assassination of Edgar Guzman Lopez, orchestrated by Arturo, became the flashpoint that shattered alliances once thought invulnerable. The subsequent cascade of losses, Arturo's fatal confrontation, the internal feud with Edgar Valdez Villarreal, the high-profile captures of Carlos Hector, and others, proved that no matter how deeply entrenched a criminal conglomerate might be, it is not immune to decisive enforcement actions and self-inflicted fragmentation. While the BLO no longer exists as the singular consolidated force it once was, its remnants, in the form of various factions, endure to this day. The cyclical nature of leadership, vacuums, realignments, and opportunistic coalitions continues to shape Mexico's criminal terrain. For law enforcement officials, policymakers, and engaged citizens, understanding the Beltrán Leyva Organization's arc offers a vivid reminder of the importance of vigilance, long-term planning, and integrity. Corruption that seeps into the highest levels of power can embolden subterranean networks, and violence, regardless of the specific means used, can erode public trust in irreversible ways. Ultimately, the Beltrán Leyva Organization's journey is a testament to a harsh reality. The pursuit of power and wealth through destructive channels yields fleeting glory at best and catastrophic downfall at worst. In recounting the group's history, one finds cautionary lessons about how quickly a criminal empire can rise and how inevitably it can unravel when held together by a combination of fear, deceit, and betrayal.